Bonsoir, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is Reign of Terror. It was developed by Mark Morrison and is available on the Chaosium website. Our maître de jeu is Mick Swan, and this is episode 3. Our recap will be given by Fred Carter. So, without any further delay, commençons notre voyage dans les ténèbres. Fred?
Okay, so as we started the last game, we were in the home, or rather the workshop, the print shop, where the murders had taken place. And we'd found the family hung and the dog with the twisted head, and had just begun our investigations there. And Sergeant Renault had been out on the road and came back in, and just as he was re-entering the room, we hear this squeaking underneath the cabinet. And we all kind of jump with our guns in hand and point, and sure enough, Dupois goes over and opens this cabinet and is a puppy, but it scares him quite well, and he falls on his behind, and there's a bit of a laugh, and lo and behold, we've now got we now have a new cohort, the Little Prince, the Petit Prince, and from there, we do manage to check out the storeroom and the office that are adjacent to this print shop, but we don't really find a whole lot more of these Third Estate letters that have been printed up, these flyers that have been printed up. We also find a journal with some income written into it, but we don't really, can't really put two and two together with that. Can't make anything match up that would lead us to a pretend, I don't know, it let us know maybe who was paying to print the flyers, or who these family might be indebted to. From there, I was really hoping to go and check out the family's home for clues, but Sergeant said, no, let's stay there and just kind of mind our own business and wait for the captain to come back, which we did. They came back, and I believe it was at that point that we handed over to the captain the neckerchief, or not the neckerchief, but the scarf that we found, and that was handed over, which had the monogram on it. And the captain ordered us, after taking our statement, to go back and get rest and make sure that we were cleaned and appropriately set to come to Versailles the following day to basically give another statement of what we had seen, and he would try to put together whatever evidence they had collected after we left and elsewhere. So the following morning, after we get scrubbed down pretty well, we head over to Versailles, get checked in. It takes us quite a long time to finally get towards the room 153 that we need to meet the captain and doctor in. And on the way over there, we kind of get fortunate to see the white chariot that some of the members of our party had seen the night prior, the one that had raced past the area we were carrying the bodies at the tomb. And they tried to approach and talk to the coach master, and he was very offensive and essentially told us all to fuck off. But luckily, and I believe this was Hugo, was able to catch the attention of another young chap that was in the area, and he filled us in as to who the chariot or the carriage belonged to, and that it was a German count who was particularly vicious and not well respected. And from there, we continued to our way in. It seemed like it took forever to get up to this room 153 and to find the right building. But Versailles being as huge as it is, it did take a little while. We get up in there, and on the way, we're hearing various rumors about Dauphin being very ill, and the people being upset. So we get finally there and relay our findings and share the neckerchief again comes out, the handkerchief comes out, and that is discussed. And it seems as though everybody kind of is pointing towards the German being of interest and someone that we need to check out. And just as we get to that point, we hear screaming out in the main hall, which we rush out to with Sergeant leading the charge. And everywhere people are screaming and wailing, and the men are capturing the women as they fall. and it is some of it is fake and some of it is obviously genuine, but they are very remiss, and it turns out that the Dauphin has indeed died, and so people were showing their respects in whatever way they felt appropriate there, even though Pressy found it a bit ridiculous. And just as this is happening, suddenly the silence comes across the room, and an resplendently dressed elderly gentleman walks through the crowd, and the silence kind of follows him through the crowd, and he comes right up to Bobon. Thank you. And says basically that something about him recognizing him, and does he know him? And Bobon kind of rebuffs that, and this old, very threatening, menacing man makes some sort of statement along the lines of perhaps trying to implicate the royal physician for the death of Dauphin, because the physician had also been handling bodies and perhaps had managed to bring this illness back to Dauphin. And then he managed to just rush off and leave. We're not able to really follow him out of there, as we need to stay for our orders. And as it turns out, we are ordered to investigate this same gentleman. He turns out this is the same German man who had the carriage that had rushed by and almost hit us the night prior. And they want us to infiltrate his home, his mansion, to see if we can find any evidence of his wrongdoings, because they are gravely concerned about his influence over the crown via the queen. And we need to do it with as much secrecy as possible and to gather as much evidence as possible so they can bring a case to him. And then the highlight of the whole day, as we were waiting for our papers, my love, Melody, is able to break away from her wretched father for several moments, and I get a kiss from her and perhaps a chance to meet up with her later at their home in the countryside.
Excellent. So we're all still standing there, yes?
You're all still standing there. You've been dispatched to investigate the mansion near Poissy. However, you're sort of expected to go first thing in the morning, very early in the morning, which leaves you with enough time today to head back to your barracks, to provision yourself, get a good night's rest.
We'll discuss our plans for what we're gonna.
I mean, now that you have these, now that you're given a letter from the captain, your provisioning is a very straightforward matter within reason. I mean, they're not going to let you have cannon,
Right.
or something, But in terms of provisions, horses, good horses, reliable horses.
What say you, Mont Sergent? How these aristocrats think that we can perform miracles? How are we to infiltrate Babon? The man knows what Babon looks like now.
Well, we cannot simply approach him and make our way into it. That was dissuaded by the captain.
Yes, you must not be discovered. That is of the utmost importance. And not to be discovered.
Directly coming out and being like, we're going to enter, would be the exact opposite of discreet. So, in my head, we have several options, but we won't know what to do until we see the location and do a scouting mission. One of us should scout and patrol the forest nearby. Imagining if it's in the countryside, there'll be a forest bordering the chateau. And once that scout reports back to us, we can make a decision as to what to do.
What do you think of the idea that we will keep a secret eye on his property and watch how his servants behave, how they come and go, and perhaps interrogate one of them in the village of Poissy itself, rather than actually go, approach the house in any way?
Well, we want to keep our distance. We want to see the main entrances and exits. But I do like the idea of speaking with the servant. Maybe not outright, but perhaps they go to a pub and one of us just happens to follow him in and strike up a conversation naturally.
I was thinking too, perhaps a soldier standing in the market would not be that unusual, keeping the peace, watching over the others. The cook, the maid, someone who looks somewhat innocent and is easily persuaded with a smile. A young soldier pretending to fancy her, getting information out of her in this manner. Nothing improprietous.
A good idea. And I turn to Hugo and Babone and I say, do you think after your interactions with both the man and his carriage driver that perhaps speaking with the help is a good idea?
I think if we were to speak with the help, we should do it out of uniform. And even though we want to, like you say, sweet talk, money separates lips more easily than anything. A small bribe here and there will attain more information than a nice smile will at any time. I also think we should find out what time he is in his manor and what time he is out during the day. And if we do any reconnaissance or enter the house, it needs to be done when we know he is leaving for a trip.
Babone?
Well, I think Ugel has quite a point there. As for myself, a devilishly handsome soldier with a wooden hand, I suspect I tend to stand out, so I would have some concerns about that. But I do have some thoughts on this operation in total. An artillery commander of mine, he once said that there's something about the suitable application of explosives can solve any problem. And I think perhaps there may be a good plan B in this. So if we can roll a keg of gunpowder up to the one side of the mansion and keep someone there ready to set it off should a distraction be needed, then that would allow people inside to perhaps take advantage of some chaos to elude detection or perhaps to slip somewhere that would normally be guarded, perhaps if guards are distracted by a giant flaming explosion on one side of the building.
Cressy and Michelle, you've both been quiet. What are your thoughts? You're my men. You're coming with us on this. I want to hear your opinion as well.
I in particular was thinking perhaps there's another way in, maybe somewhere from underground, maybe a sewer or some other way to get in undetected, somewhere that nobody would think about looking.
I have never been to Poissy. Is it in the country?
I don't know.
It's southwest of Paris. It's a small provincial town.
It may not have sewers. We shall see, though. It is a good idea.
Mick, is that the farmland? Because I know that there's the farmland south of Paris right now.
It's I can show you a map. There we are. You are coming from Paris. Paris. You're currently in Versailles, but you're heading back to Paris. And Poissy is here. And
Okay.
you'll pass through the forest of Saint-Germain on the way there. It's, less than a day's travel.
Okay.
If you
so
if you
it's-
head off at first light, you'd get there probably in mid-afternoon, mid to late afternoon.
So it's outside of the city, so that might not work.
It does border a forest. Pussy, I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's actually northwest of Paris, despite what the description in the scenario actually says in writing.
We are all human, monsieur.
One for the Chaosian proofreaders there.
Now, is that a river? The thicker blue line?
Yes.
That's the things.
It is. Okay, just making sure.
I would still imagine that their waste has to go somewhere.
Yes, probably directly into the Seine.
Mm.
Right, but if we can follow that back to its source, perhaps we can find a way in. I mean, it might be small. Someone my size wouldn't be able to get in that way, but
We will have to see when we get there. It may be that they have outhouses.
no, that might be true.
Sergeant, my thought is, if we do not want to be seen by this German count, then we need to go when he is not there. And the next time that I am fairly certain he will not be there is during the funeral of Dauphin. And perhaps other people will leave the home at that time also to tend to what is likely to be an event in the city or near this city. I would suggest we try to go in the estate at that time. And I'm more direct. I would almost suggest going in masquerade as help. We are built, well-developed men. We can look, we can play the part of manual hands.
We would need to know how his attendants are dressed, though. That's the problem. We're soldiers now, and we would need the proper attire, and that may be a problem without some considerable advanced planning.
What makes you think that his other servants would not immediately recognize that you are not one of them?
Pressy may be
That I've not done this before.
Pressy may be smarter than he looks, though. You point out the funeral of the king.
That is a very good idea. There
Now,
will be a minimal number of servants in the house at that time.
Christoph, and I kind of give a light smirk. You are familiar with one of the aristos, correct?
Oui.
Which means that they may have information about this count and where he may be traveling if he is actually at the funeral attending.
It seems like a bit of a stretch. I don't know that she would. She would.
Maybe not her, but her father.
her father would shoot me before speaking with me.
Dr. Rigaud may also know where he's going to be.
We may be in Poissy by then, unfortunately.
Oh,
Has or if the doctor has ever made a house call there?
I think all we have to do is watch the house. If we see this count leave his house at the time that we know the funeral is, then that's obviously where he is going.
No matter what, we have to scout the house first. I think that's what we kind of all agree on.
Well, I would remind you at this point that the mission you've been given is to reconnoiter the Count's mansion, and you were specifically commanded to infiltrate the grounds where you must not be seen or raise any suspicions. They want enough information to stage a full raid of the mansion and capture the comp on site with proof of his guilt.
Which means
We can't just go in and shoot everybody.
Well, no. But let me. These young puppies here, they make interesting ideas that are quite rash, and I think of a rash idea myself. The servants of the Count. We have all seen how servants behave. We ourselves are soldiers. We are servants. Servants do not stare into the face of the aristocrat. They keep their heads down. They do their work. What if, and I am not sure how we would do this, but what if we posed as aristocrats? They would have no idea who we were. They would have no way to stop us because that would be their servants. They don't counteract what an aristocrat. We can say, we have come to visit Count Fenalik, and where is he? And we shall wait, and we shall be in the house, and then we shall say we don't want to wait anymore, and we shall leave.
The problem with that is that raises suspicion, and particularly if they have descriptions of who we are.
But they won't. They won't look into our faces, I guarantee it.
You assume that. I mean, yes, as a servant, yeah, you're kind of modest in front of aristocrats, but you do talk behind their backs.
I don't think it's that unusual a situation. Do not aristocrats go and visit one another all the time, unannounced?
It could work, but it is a dangerous game, because if he does come home, then we are in big trouble.
Oh, we can talk more about this on our way to Boise, but we should pack and leave immediately.
Should I prepare a keg of gunpowder?
No, we're not going to blow up the building with the servants inside. And
you always say that, Dupois.
Well, I'm going to tell you now that any request for a keg of gunpowder
is denied.
Would be declined.
Yeah, I would decline that.
No, I mean,
besides,
that's not the sort of thing they're going to let you walk out of the stores with.
What one must interpret,
Time's hard and provisions are hard to come by. That's a lot of gunpowder. That's.
One must follow orders, but one must often interpret those orders. If they wanted Monsieur Fenalik dead, they would have ordered us to kill him. They did not want us to kill him. Because, like it or not, good or evil, he is an aristocrat. They don't kill their own.
They want evidence. That's specifically what you've been dispatched.
It is a shame that he is, not French. I can't believe that he had to come to France to be an aristo. We wouldn't have him in Germany. I scoff.
Is that true? I don't know.
Well, that's what I assume.
I mean, Marie Antoinette is Austrian.
And then, does she deserve to be on the throne?
No, we all hate her.
Yes, exactly. She is not French.
Madame Deficit.
Yeah.
So, should we go as soldiers, or should we go out there as
We shall go as soldiers,
Combat.
and we shall decide there.
Okay, everyone, bring a change of clothes.
Oh yeah. I think a change of clothes is necessary.
We bring whatever's in our pack or whatever
We should think about going to an inn rather than the garrison in Boise, though.
Is there really any reason for us to take our uniforms? Would we even want to have them with us, or anything that identifies us as soldiers?
I would say bring them simply because we are soldiers and that's what we wear. But when we begin infiltrating, we change into something a little bit more discreet.
So the innkeeper see us come in as soldiers and out as plainclothes.
We could go, it's going to be, what, a day's travel? So
Yes.
24 hours or 12? What is it?
Oh, more like
12 day or
12
full
hours. If you leave first thing in the morning, you'll get there sort of mid-afternoon.
So a walking day rather than a full day. Okay. So then, yes, Questy, we should probably go as peasants, the people, rather than soldiers. If it's going to be a walking day rather than a full day, then yes. In my head, it was a 24-hour thing. What does everyone else think?
We're not going to ride our horses? Or
I think that what the keeper is saying is it'd take 12 hours on horses.
Oh.
Yes.
I just had another thought. Like any other large household, there is always a turnover of staff. One of us could infiltrate by becoming a servant in the house. It is likely that Monsieur Fenelick will not even notice the change. It's something that would be handled by his butler or valet.
I believe that was already brought up by, was it Hugo or Joseph?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Also, I've been known to mess around with costumes and disguise a little bit. I'm actually pretty proficient in it, so if that helps, I would be willing to change my appearance a little bit and maybe enter. And also bribe money. I really suggest you have a pocket full of coins, because money will get you answers into locked doors, people to watch him, to report back to us.
Nobody has money, though.
We have a small request that we can get a stipend.
Perhaps.
I mean, a couple of coins to a servant will...
A lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of money.
Especially servant that's been treated, extremely rough by his master. These people probably have.
That's something that I wanted to, mainly focus on is, Hugo went up to one of them and he said, "Fuck off." So I think we need to handle this as...
Yes, the servants there are probably not very the most hospitable, but I lean over to Sergeant Renault, and I get a smile on my face, and I just sort of whisper in his ear. I'm like, Eugène could probably pass as a lady's maid in the house if you put him in a dress and, brush his hair. He has very youthful features.
Dupois, I don't need that from you right now. We're trying to
very serious. He would be a very good disguise for him.
I don't know. These nights have been very lonely.
Nobody would think that a soldier in the king's army was dressed as a woman. He could get a job there as a maid. He could infiltrate for us. Think about it as we're driving on our horses.
We're riding on our horses right
Singing
now.
our little horsey song.
Joseph, what if we possibly begin doing a merger of plans here? Kind of putting in elements of different things. We have someone scouting the house, and we see the entrances and exits, but we target one servant. There's got to be someone there that has a grudge or just doesn't like what they're doing. Maybe he's young, and we target that man. We follow him, and then Hugo will approach, and he can make the decision of whether to bribe or to flirt as a woman and get some information that way. So that way we know the interior of the house as well. Because from the outside, we won't be able to know the layout.
You will want somebody young and stupid.
Exactly. And we're going to have to specifically target someone. But then we could possibly, when knowing the layout and knowing that, and taking part of Christophe's idea, knowing that he's gone, knowing that he's at the funeral, we can form some kind of distraction to get, because if we go in and there's servants there, we're not caught, but we're supposed to be discreet. So we think about doing a distraction to get them out of here, out of the building, or at least in one wing, and then we just slip in.
Before we leave, however, we must find out when the funeral is scheduled for.
Yeah. Let's turn around.
And also, since he went straight up to Babon, he knows soldiers. If we are all in plain clothes, if we are discovered, it could have been thieves, it could have been a number of things. I'm
Exactly.
sure he could pull one and one together at some point, but instantly, if somebody says, oh, there was a bunch of soldiers here, he's going to know it's us.
I agree with.
All right, sorry. I just wanted to say, as soldiers, that is a concern, but that is a tomorrow problem. If we are dressed as peasants, they may just shoot us as thieves, and then we have a today problem.
Right now, we go in discreetly, in plain clothes. We can then, to me, the plain clothes and the soldiers, we can maybe use both. Plain clothes, Joseph as a woman, but then maybe in the market, we have Dupois as a soldier, offering to help or demanding, where are you going? Why are you doing that? We can use both to our advantage here.
Maybe we could follow one of the servants, have Dupois or one of the soldiers accuse the servant of something. I can step up as, in disguise, defending that person, gaining their trust, and then take it from there, gaining access to the home, maybe. That way, you know what I mean?
Yes, we work in tandem.
What does everyone else think of that idea?
Noisy. The main thing is that we're supposed to go in there very low key, very to a point where nobody notices us at all. When we start interacting with other people, I don't know.
Well, we have to find out something some way.
Well, I had the idea that we search the premises. We go through his papers or personal effects and find our evidence that way.
But how? He will have at least 30 servants in his house.
We have to look to make sure that maybe look at their schedule. The servants, see what sort of schedule they're on. I'm sure that there's not a 24-hour schedule around the place. Find out what time they all go to sleep, when they all turn in, and then find a way to get in there and get what we need. At least
something else. If the rumors are true, and let's say it's the worst case scenario, everything the doctor suspects is true, then that means that perhaps he does not have so many servants after all. Those servants would be potential liabilities for his life of depraved criminality, and so perhaps we will find his place to be an empty place with naught but his ghosts.
It's possible. Let us go. Let us, if we can ascertain when the funeral will be, let us go on our way. We shall make more decisions there.
Can I ask one thing? It's not of anybody but the keeper, because I just want this to be clarified before making any decision to infiltrate the house. The Aristos are guarded, correct? Their chateaus have guards.
Well, this is
to an extent, yes. I mean, there are usually there are servants wandering around, footmen.
Yes, employed people who have an arm.
Yeah, footmen would take the role of as near as you would get to the role of security in this kind of thing, and most estates would have a few large dogs about the place as well.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not walking into a castle with guards up here, or or contrastly, no one's there and we can just waltz in. But we will know more when we arrive in Boise and we see it. So I agree. Let us go.
Well, Petit Prince, we will see you later, my little friend. We have to go and see about the bad man's home. Take care.
Are you sure you do not want to bring Petit Prince? He might make a good
Distraction?
part of costume for someone as a prop.
Yes, he could bring a distraction, definitely. That is.
What say you, mon sergent?
I see the value in having the dog as a prop, but also I see the hindrance of having the dog, period, with us at all.
Petit Prince is ready to serve, my friend.
Well, Babon, I think Babon should avoid coming anywhere near the house, if only because he has been seen.
Prince and I could be the lookout, perhaps. Now, at the edge of the woods.
I kind of I scoff and I say, yeah, you know how they train soldiers in the Orient, correct? They give them a dog, a small puppy, and when their roll is up, they take the dog, they chop off the head, the true sign of the warrior.
Well,
That is why we are civilized and they are not. No offense to any out there. I'm playing a role. I'm an ignorant French soldier.
Oh, no offense to any 17th century Mongol warriors watching.
Onward, take the dog. Let's go. Put him in a basket.
All right.
Come now, Prince. Your first mission. You should be proud.
He's big enough you can just put him in your pocket.
Set him up in the top of my hat.
So, does anything happen on our way to Boise? I mean, we did want to stop and ask, of information about the funeral. It may be too soon to tell, but I just wanted to.
No one's talking about the funeral. The one or two people you asked about the funeral seemed genuinely shocked that you would bring up such a thing.
Might there be a proclamation?
Minutes after the boy's death has been reported.
True. Yeah.
There may be a proclamation tomorrow.
We'll speak to the crier.
There'll be a day of mourning throughout.
Is there any chance that we can obtain the tools of like spyglass, anything espionage related? If we might need to small set of tools to undo locks or doors and things like that.
A spyglass, you could probably.
And some rope. Don't forget
A
rope.
spyglass and some rope. I'd let you have those. A spyglass and some rope. That's could certainly requisition.
I'm actually a pretty damn good locksmith, 55%. So sometimes you have to get in.
So if
Well,
nothing
I would
happens,
presume that if you're that good a locksmith, all you need is a pin or a piece of wire and your knife. And
Yeah. Locks aren't that complicated. It's
Skyrim style with the knife and the pick. Doing a bit of Bethesda lockpicking.
Yeah. All right.
Rattle, rattle, rattle.
All right. So we're on our way.
on our way.
Yes. Well, it's largely uneventful, really. You stop for lunch and eat some provisions at some point along the way, probably around midday. After lunch, you begin to pass through the Forêt de Saint-Germain, the Forest of Saint-Germain. here things take something of a turn as you get closer to Pressy. The atmosphere gets strangely oppressive. The traffic on the road is very sparse, and the few other travellers you see are very deliberate in their efforts to avoid eye contact with you. They hurry past quietly. They don't respond to hellos. They seem to be ill at ease in the forest. And the forest itself is very dark and gloomy. It's strangely quiet. Bear in mind, this is summer. You know, a ride through the forest should be a pleasant affair. But there is overall, as you pass through the forest, there's a horrible feeling as though you're almost being watched. But there's no one there. You stop a few times and look amidst the trees. There's certainly no one there. Every now and then you perhaps hit a dappled glade filled with sunlight, which raises your spirits a little. But for the most part, the oppressive air consumes you again as you head back into the shadows. It's probably late afternoon by the time you arrive in Poissy. It's a small town. The center of the town is a collection of tall houses, 3- and 4-story houses, ranged around a square, a central square, and the high steeple of the Collégiale Notre-Dame de Poissy, the local church, towers over the town. And as the afternoon draws on, as you're arriving, the shadows are lengthening. You come to a stop in this square, and a few old women come out and call their children in. As you arrive, a couple of old people hurry off into the shadows at the sight of strangers in the town. And it does not look like a French town in the summer. The sun shines, but houses are shuttered. The door of the inn is closed, although you can hear some noise from within. It seems a very subdued and unhappy place. You know, there are 1 or 2 locals milling about, but not many.
Where shall we stay? What do we find an inn?
There is an inn in the square, yes.
How are we dressed right now? Are we dressed as regular people?
I'd hope so. We don't want to let anyone know that we're soldiers.
Okay.
The few people that are out, do we hear any sort of conversation amongst them? Maybe quiet conversations, or is it like completely silent? As we go through
the few people who are outside are eyeing you uneasily. They're making a perfunctory effort to pretend that they're not eyeing you uneasily, but they obviously still are. In fact, 1 or 2 of them were engaged in conversation when you came into the square, and their conversation abruptly stopped.
Okay.
So you trotted in on your horses.
They seem so oppressed.
If we stand out so much, should we stay here?
We should get into the inn as quickly as possible.
Not a bad idea.
As we approach the inn and dismount, I want to look to the group and say, very strange. Usually, people in the countryside are much friendlier than this to their countrymen.
Mon Sergeant, do you recall yesterday when the Dauphin died? The people within Versailles put on a great show of grief, overly exaggerated. And all of a sudden they stopped. They became quiet. They bowed their heads. They looked downward, just as Monsieur Count Fenelick appeared. He is an oppressive man. Everyone is afraid of him. I think this whole village is afraid of him.
Well, a count is in charge of a portion of land. These people essentially are under his fealty, or under his rule. So it is quite possible that he is literally oppressing them in some way.
These are not happy people. That is for sure. Let us all get inside.
Sure. All right, so I dismount. I'm going to wait for someone else to kind of go in. I'm kind of just taking in everything. A little confused.
Michel, but there is a good opportunity here. When we go get something to drink, we can say to the others, why? Why is everyone so sad? And they might say,
Not a bad idea. But yeah, let's get a room. I'll dismount, and I'm gonna go and I'll try to secure the rooms for us.
I will take care of the horses. I will get them stabled or whatever we do.
Okay. And okay. So I'm gonna go in and try to secure rooms for us.
Okay. Well, there's an innkeeper there. He's a large, red-faced man in an apron.
Okay.
And,
Does he have the same sort of disposition that everybody else in the town has, like sort of this somber?
Yes, he's not. I mean, he's not sort of avoiding you at all. When you come in, he makes eye contact with you. He looks up from what he's doing and says, "Oui, monsieur."
Oh, good day. I'm interested in renting several rooms. Do you have any available?
Rooms here in the inn, monsieur.
Yes.
Yes, we have some rooms.
Okay. I would like to get, how many of us are there? About 5.
We can't afford that.
Yeah, I meant to ask you guys. Do you guys want to sleep in one room? How many rooms should we get?
We all sleep in the same room at the barracks. So.
Well, let us get 2. One for our captain, and I guess one for us. I know he doesn't want to sleep with the hired help, as he would put it.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I know that officers of higher than sergeant are oft in their own barracks, but I don't know about sergeants.
Probably have your own bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have your own bed, whereas the others would sort of be two to a bunk.
Yeah, they'd be actually in the barracks. All right. Well, then, good thinking, Michelle. I do not want to sleep with any of you.
Oh, you hurt my feelings.
Maybe Hugo.
You are in disguise, monsieur.
Maybe Joseph after seeing his picture. So yeah.
There's he can sort out a room. It's basically just a dormitory.
Okay. All right. So
there are a couple of rooms, one of which he can rent to the sergeant, but the majority of the real accommodation as such is just a dormitory with 8 or 9 beds in it.
Okay.
And you pay a few coins for a bed for the night. It's very rudimentary.
All right. So we're set up there.
There's a wash basin and a chamber pot, and that's about it.
Did we happen to notice like a tavern on our way in?
Yeah, they're serving food and drink on the ground floor.
Okay, so everything in one space. All right, sounds good.
It's quite a simple rustic affair.
All right.
Got the rooms, my man?
We have them. You have your own private room. I hand you your, or not room, but your own private bed. So, not you. Our sergeant there. Sorry.
Oh, so Jean does, of course. Well, let me grab bags. I will get the bags to them. Yeah.
I stop Pressy and I say, perhaps we should each get our own bags, Christophe, and call me Renault, please.
Renault.
Thierry.
Oh, wait, Renault.
Yeah, that is still the call me Jean-Marie.
We are, after all, just people heading west.
So we should use our first names.
Yes, Terry.
Terry,
All right.
Etienne, Michel, Joseph, Christophe, and Jean-Marie.
Well, Jean-Marie, I hold the door open and give him a smile. It's paining me to be nice to my troops, but I'm holding the door open and giving him a smile because we're just travelers. We're all just a group of travelers traveling together.
I cannot remember how to say thank you in French.
Merci.
Merci. Merci. Merci, Terry.
And I nod and I say, well, let us go get our bags from the horses. I'm assuming that they have a stable for the horses that they can stay in.
Oh,
Yeah, I already took care of the horses.
Okay,
Yeah, there was at the moment you trotted up on the horses, there would have been a groom waiting.
Hooray!
Well, not really a groom, more of a stable boy. Well, not even really a stable boy, more of a sort of like
6-year-old
convenient kid.
Yeah.
And I explained to him what the horses' names were and their temperaments, and
he's not really listening.
He's 6. He just wants to play with the horses. Come, horses.
then I mess up his hair.
He goes and puts the GGs in the boxes, and that's what he does.
Okay.
He gets them. He puts them in their little hutches.
Will we? Are we permitted to bring Petit in?
Well, Prince is Etienne's, so keep him in with you in your bed.
Indeed.
Just clean up after him.
It is not a problem. I've cleaned up worse messes.
Yes,
Don't forget to change his water every day and clean out his bowl.
Exactly. Exactement.
His little galleon. Oh no, that's fair.
I don't know if it is still this way, but in France, you can bring your pet with you to the restaurant. It used to be.
It depends. They balk somewhat at the idea of people going into restaurants with mastiffs. I found.
If I remember correctly from when I was in France, they let dogs and pets like sit with you in the balcony. Not on the balcony, but like on the little porch areas.
It's usually little pets, a little poodle or a little.
Yeah. But then again, I was like 12 or 13. Who can remember anything from then?
I'm doing the Puma bigots.
So I open up my bag and I pull out all my stuff and I lay it out the way that it's supposed to go.
As I'm grabbing and hauling my stuff up to my private room, because I'm just the leader of this merry band of travelers. As I'm grabbing my bag, how does the church look? Does it look well kept? The church is the hub of a town. So, is it well kept?
It's a very impressive looking church, actually, for a small town.
Okay.
Quite
Surprisingly so, or?
not overly so. I mean, it's not sort of incredibly impressive and opulent, but it is kept up to the standards that you would expect a church to be kept up to in a respectable country town.
Wasn't a king born here, as I recall?
Possibly.
Sorry, they made a big deal out of it in Horror on the Orient Express.
Oh, God.
I'm
Gotta
looking it
look
up.
through the book.
I'm looking it up.
A king born here, a squad of 6 soldiers die here.
Apparently not all of us.
It's the circle of life.
Apparently not all of us. Just
Exactly.
most of us.
Petit Prince will outlive all of us.
I know they have the Noyal de Poissy, which is a liqueur made from apricot pits.
Well, I'm gonna make a note to
Saint Louis, the King of France, was indeed born
St. Louis.
in.
Poissy.
He was born there. Yes.
So is the church of Saint Louis?
No, it is the Collégiale Notre-Dame de Poissy.
Notre Dame de Poissy. The Virgin Mary.
I will let. Which of you would like to be standing beside me outside while taking down my bag? Because I'm going to make a note of something.
I'm not sure what you do. Are we not up in our rooms with our bags?
Oh, I was taking my bag off of my horse and looking at the church.
The horses have all been put away. The bags are in our rooms.
So someone has taken them up to our rooms.
I did help carry bags up. Yes.
We did.
Okay. Well, thank you, Christoph. So then I will open my bag and I will look to all of you. And I will say, I will be heading to the church probably later this evening. We don't want to go immediately to the chateau. We could possibly do maybe a pass on its road. And then in the evening tomorrow, see what we can see. But we shouldn't go directly tonight. We should, seem normal.
The dead of night seems like a good time for some initial scouting. Not me. I am terrible in the woods. I sound like an entire artillery company when I walk. But
that is because the trees want their hand back.
They'll never get it from me. They'll have to pry it from my cold dead corpse.
Terry, I'd like to go with you when you go to the church. I still have a bit of romance in my heart for the priesthood.
I didn't know that you were religious, Christoph.
Oh, well, before my sponsor got me into the army, I was studying to be a priest.
You would have made a better priest than a soldier, I can tell you that.
No, he likes the ladies way too much.
That's well said, thank you.
I have no time for my own wife in the service. So
they said I was too rash to action. Anyways, it probably would have not made a good fit, but I did love the architecture, the music, and I did love the church.
I will be heading there to make peace with whatever is to come. I cannot speak of the rest of you. We are not soldiers tonight. Think of it like that. We are normal travelers.
Sample the local wine. I understand.
Yes. Be friendly. Maybe strike up conversation and see what this count is doing to the people. Jean-Marie. Keep saying your first names. Jean-Marie pointed out that it seemed oppressive here. Perhaps the Count has enacted something he is taxing these people too high, perhaps.
Let us be confused, travelers. Someone will warn us. They will
Yes.
say, be careful.
And I nod and I turn to Kristoff and I say, and perhaps the priest, the at the church, which is the hub of the town, will have something for us there as well.
He does know their sins.
I nod. All right. So I guess I'll you said it was late afternoon. How long until evening?
Well, it's summer, so it's probably about 3 or 4 hours until the sun goes down.
All right.
It's June after all.
Well, I suppose I'll eat an early dinner, and then I'll head to the church. Kristoff, you are more than welcome to join me. As of all of you are welcome to join me downstairs.
Forgive me, I want to say Mon Sergeant, so forgive me. Terry, be careful, because the clergy are as bad as the aristocrats.
I kind of I kind of just like narrow my eyes at that and just like, much like Kristoff, kind of take offense.
I do not speak against the church. The church is holy, the church is sacred, but many of the clergy are corrupt.
The clergy and the aristos, they are placed by God.
They are also quite fat and eating well, and unconcerned for those who are not.
This is God's gift to them in
You
life.
are dressed as a servant, as a peasant. That is what I am saying. If you were a soldier, it would be a different matter.
I smile to Kristoff and I say, we will act accordingly. But as I said, though they eat well, that is their blessing by God. We toil, we get our blessings in heaven. The aristos and the clergy, they get their blessings now.
So let's go get something to eat and to drink.
Okay.
I brought my own.
Yes. Now you're speaking my language, my friend.
All right.
All right, so we're downstairs eating.
Yeah, it's basically bread and soup is it really?
Mutton
It's
soup.
halfway between a soup and a stew, but it's all there is.
Yeah.
These are not wealthy times.
Well, I will. Who is there? Anybody else here?
Yeah, there's about
We all have
half
to
a
eat.
dozen people in there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I'm talking about the people around us.
Yeah, there's about half a dozen villagers in there at the moment.
I doubt that this is the hub right now of loose lips. But is anyone saying anything, or are they just kind of eating their gruel?
No, they're chatting away.
Okay. Anything worth a listen roll?
Make a list roll.
Okay.
I'll do the same.
Got a 6.
You catch snippets of conversation. It's
You got a 6 too.
discussing their crops.
Just
Who's getting married to someone. Someone's dog got out and was chasing the goats the other day.
Wow, so we're talking about a lot of really interesting stuff here.
Thierry,
someone got some bitumen on their cat or something.
Just let Babon do what Babon does. He will be excessively cheery, and ask everyone why they are not so cheery.
I look at Babon and I say, do you feel up to it now? You've just gotten into town.
As always, Thierry, it is always time for a party, except maybe when it's time for a battle, and then it's time for a party afterwards. Is there any wine to be had here?
Yes.
Excellent.
In.
So I'm going to get myself a bottle and join some of the locals and just begin chatting them up. Basically, just playing the congenial idiot and telling them, you have such a nice cathedral, such a nice little town, but people seem so down. I don't understand it.
It is just the way the things are, monsieur.
Well, I suppose times have been better, but such is life, ups and downs. Is there? But even in Paris, this is nothing like you have here. I mean, people are mad because there's no bread, but they it's not quite the same atmosphere.
We get by, monsieur. We can hope for nothing more.
I suppose so. Yes. Well, would you care for some of my wine?
Oui, monsieur. Merci.
I'll pour some out for them as well, and with that, have you heard the news? We've come in from Paris. The prince, he's gone. It's quite a tragedy.
We heard.
Yeah, I mean, in Paris, we have a fair number of nobility, but they mostly stay to the south. The king, but you here, you've got the aristocrats and some big manor, right?
We.
How are they taking it?
I do not know. I have no dealings with the aristocracy, monsieur.
I suppose so. Yeah, they keep to themselves.
Oui. It is better that way.
Perhaps so. They give you a lot of trouble when they do come to town.
Things are as they are, monsieur.
Oh. I hold up my hand and say, I suppose we have all have our scars from run-ins with our betters. But I suppose so. Well, I do not mean to trouble you any too excessively. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. I'll take my wine and go sit with my friends. Christophe, Jean-Marie, Thierry, Michel. Have some of my wine. This bottle, it will not drink itself.
Pressy.
I'll drink.
Make a spot hidden for me, Pressy.
Hard success.
From where you were sitting, while Baban was talking to the villagers, you could see that the men he was talking to on that table, their eyes were darting around the room quite apprehensively while he was talking to them, very much as if they were keeping an eye out to make sure they weren't being watched.
And this was the people that were actually doing the speaking. Okay. So they're very much on alert. On the sly, I'll kind of pass that message, but I won't.
As a soldier, you notice that kind of thing.
Yeah. On the sly, when the moment's right, I'll pass that information to Thierry.
They seemed very antagonistic, stonewallish. But why would they look around, Christophe? what's here other than the shopkeeper and the other tenants here eating?
Well, perhaps they know that some people will talk more than others. Yeah. It could be that they're just uncomfortable speaking at all. Perhaps they were also trying to figure out whether they could say anything. I don't know that we've gained their trust necessarily.
We're strangers, yes.
Yeah.
And there was that story of the servant boy that was beaten to death. So maybe they truly do fear for their life. Remember he pushed the when he went to pour the wine, he pushed his hand and had him beaten and he died. So maybe they are truly afraid for their lives. And we are, like he just said, we are mere strangers in this town.
I smell something more. I smell... And we're all saying this quietly to ourselves. We're nobody.
Well, considering I'm half deaf, I'm not saying much of anything.
I have seen a great deal of this in Paris as well. This is people on the verge of fighting back. They are living in oppression. They won't live in it forever. This is a powder keg getting ready to explode, my friends. Mon ami.
I definitely have the feeling that it's coordinated. There's a sense of knowing and of sharing this experience, that they're not separated from each other.
If we are friendly to these people, be friendly to them, they will take us into their confidence. It will take a while, a day or two, perhaps. But someone will break. Someone will say, well, we're going to do something about that. Why they had a southern accent when they said it, I don't know.
Well, if anyone is going to rebel, it is Marcel the Appalachian.
Oh.
He will be the one.
Someone teleported back in time.
Why is it always me? Sorry.
Someone teleported back in time from the Alamo, and they were like, "Oh, okay, let's just free all these people now." Just kidding. They all
Monsieur,
died.
I say, Monsieur. Sorry, the only southern accent I can do is foghorn leghorn. I do apologize. It's either that or Yosemite Sam. It's basically
it's
exactly the
which
same.
one of us has the best singing voice?
probably Babone.
Babon, maybe Christophe and Babon can sing us a nice drinking song as we're drinking. Let's get these people cheered up.
How about it, Bobon? Should we?
Nah, I don't sing. I talk. It's close, but not the same thing.
Oh,
I sing. I sing. I love to sing.
We all sing here in the tavern. Christophe, sing us a tavern song.
I sing something.
Mon cours se recommande à vous.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Frère Jacques.
Frère Jacques.
Maybe get some more bottles of wine going around also.
22. Yeah, so that was a hard success. Something they're trying to brighten the mood a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. What we're trying to do is trying to get these people to like us a little bit.
Well, make a psychology roll, anyone who wants to.
Get them drunk.
18 out of 20.
90.
Just shy.
Strikes you
I got an 8. I got an 8
well.
out of 20. Yeah.
In that case, Beaumont, it strikes you that these people are just firmly suspicious of outsiders.
It makes sense.
They're resolutely insular. And far from warming to you, the singing just appears to be making them slightly uncomfortable.
Then I'll quit.
Yeah.
No.
And then,
Come on, join with us, sing with us. We shall buy you drinks.
No, these good men over here, we do not wish to disturb them.
Yes, we do.
So, you stop singing, and Dupois launches into a tuneless rendition of Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? I don't know. I'm trying to think of other songs
Mon
in French.
cœur
Simple pour
serait
moi.
commande à vous.
La vie en rose.
Plein d'ennui et de matière. No? It's no folk song. One song I know in French.
Oh no, hang on. It wouldn't be Simple pour moi because Plastic Bertrand wasn't French. It was Belgian.
Ne me quitte pas. Ils font oublier, tout pas s'oublier. Qui s'enfuit de gel. Oh, 1960, sorry. All right. Well, I'm drunk. I'm sorry. Perhaps
You're
I am.
drunk, and you're gazing through the mists of time to
And I
find
am
new
trying-
songs to
yeah.
sing.
I am trying to be friendly, despite their dull. Perhaps one of them will say something to one of us to tell me to shut up.
Is there any chance anybody still has one of those flyers on them?
You can make a luck roll if you want.
Belmont, probably.
Do we need to make a group luck or individually? Or
If I remember correctly, I did one of two things. I either A, grabbed and crumpled up and kept the flyer, or I threw it away.
You put one away.
I threw it away?
No, you kept one in the very beginning.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I remember because I found one and I said, if this is no one's, I crushed it and kept it.
Yes, that's right. You did. Well, I mean, you kept the one of the ordinary ones.
Yes, I did not the printed ones. I kept one of the
Yeah,
ordinary
'cause
ones.
Not one of the ones with the know your place on them.
Yeah,
yeah, you picked up that one in the catacombs.
that's right. Is this what you're looking for, Pressy?
Well, if we're looking to break the ice, I think this would certainly do it.
Okay.
I'm terrified of them all.
I'll
Wait.
I'll go upstairs and I'll grab the crumpled up paper from my uniform, and I'll come back downstairs and just hand them the crumpled ball. And just and have at, Christoph. Let's see what you got.
You hand me the ball?
I hand you the ball.
Oh.
The ball is in your hand.
He looks back up
Ball
at
is
you
in
like,
your court.
Okay, no shit.
Here's
The game. She is a foot pressy.
Here's the ball of paper. Now you go and let's see what you got.
I was hoping someone would have a sly idea on how to slip this to them.
You figure it out. I sit
I'm
there with my
trying.
arms like this.
I'm trying very hard to pick a particular person and get them to sing along with me. Can I roll a persuade? See if I can get them to at least think of a little.
I think I have an
Yeah,
idea.
make a persuade roll. Yeah.
82. I'm just annoying them.
I think I have an idea. Hand me the sheet of paper.
You're sitting right there, so I just slide over.
All right, so I'll take the sheet of paper and I'll look at it, and I'll try to smooth it out a bit, and I'll fold it up, and I'll get up to get another bottle of wine from the bar, and as I'm walking towards there, I'm going to go to like put it into my pocket, but not have it go fully in there. And as I walk by, I'll let it slip out. And I'll grab my bottle of wine and I'll walk back to the table. So it'll just be laying on the floor, just in case somebody might want to, if they're curious about why we're here. Do I need to roll something for that?
Well, I'm rolling something as well. I'm going to have to roll it again because that went under the sofa. Well, no one picks it up.
Well, I'll just leave it there, but I mean, eventually
No one
somebody...
seems to have noticed. as yet.
Okay.
Well, I stand up. I've finished my meal. I'm going to go for a walk and then enter into, and then when the sun begins to go down, I'll go to the church. Christoph, you are more than happy to join me on my walk through the town. Perhaps we'll see a shop.
Ah, merci beaucoup. I will come.
The rest of you, I shrug. We'll wait until tomorrow morning to begin making plans.
I saw what Michelle did. I am going to go over and I'm going to pick up the piece of paper.
Oh, God.
Like I'm drunk and I'm looking, and I just pick it up like this. And then I set it on the table next to me where the people are drinking, and I stumble over to grab another bottle of wine. I make it look like it's just a casual sort of thing.
Well, have you actually opened it up? It's unfolded and on the table.
It's however it was on the floor. I didn't read it. So I just set it there. I'm hoping their curiosity will unfold it.
They're trying very hard to ignore it.
Well, they're trying to ignore it.
Well, they're just deliberately not looking at it at the moment.
I kind of, when I'm standing up and I turn my gaze to Jean-Marie, I don't want him to just drunk. He'll do something foolish. He's a drunkard after all.
I have never done anything foolish in my entire life.
I say, you're come here, Jean-Marie. Sit down with Joseph and Etienne and Michelle, and drink with them.
As you wish, monsieur.
Don't stand up and bother these people. And then I kind of walk over and I sit Jean-Marie down. And I pat him on the back, and very, very softly, I whispered, "Good work." I lean back up.
I miss my wife.
Etienne, deal with this. First off, wave.
I get the hard tasks.
And I walk out. You three can deal with this.
Jean-Marie, who knows? Perhaps there is another wife in your future. I did not think I would have a new son, and look, now I have little Prince.
I am too old to get married again.
It's not worth it.
Who said you need to be married?
Yeah.
Times are changing.
Shut up, Joseph. What do you know about it? Where's that bottle of wine? All right. You can move on.
Yeah.
We kind of turn away from the paper, talking.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna leave it there. I imagine we're gonna leave it there.
It's not on your table.
More or less.
It's not on your table.
I know, but I'm just saying that when we leave for the evening or to go to bed, we're just gonna leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
It's a seed planted, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, then, shall we then follow Renault and Pressy out into the square?
Because I have not lived the life of a civilian in quite some time. Me and Pressy are holding hands, frolicking down the dirt, the path, trying to be discreet. Walk as the peasants do.
Okay.
No, I definitely don't do that. Was tired and trying to make a joke. Anyways,
It is early evening now, and
seemed perfectly natural to me.
we're French.
there is light in church, and the sound of singing. They are not familiar with Catholic services.
If it's sundown, it's Vespers.
Vespers. Okay. I was going to say evensong or something. I think that's a Church of England thing. So there is a service going on. It's sparsely attended, but there are people in there.
Tom, if I remember correctly, Vespers only last like 45 minutes.
And that's hardly even that.
Yeah.
It's short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know about Catholics, but Episcopalians, Vespers and then meditation, then you leave. So, so I say to Christoph.
Well, this is Catholics. There's Vespers, and then there's some guilt.
Well, and it's also all in Latin, and it's from a time when they did a little bit longer service than they do nowadays.
And I mean, you gotta pay to get in. There's a bouncer at the door. You gotta have cool to get in. All right. So Christoph, you know your way around the clergy better than I ever could. Simply speaking, as a man of God, does not do us much good, but you and your knowledge could help us. So I will let you lead the way. Think of this as you're the sergeant now, but only in this instance right now, and unofficially, I'm still the sergeant.
Oh, well, in the eyes of the clergy, I have no status, but perhaps I can help push the right buttons if we get an opportunity.
Your knowledge is what I imagine will help us most, not your status.
Okay. So what I do know is we should probably go in the front door to start. So
Can we assume, though, that everybody here was born and raised Catholic in France?
Pretty much.
It's pretty much a national religion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to the point that doesn't it pretty much get the whole religion kind of gets stomped on right after the revolution, right?
Well, it's because of the clergy having money and nobody else eating.
Yeah.
Yes, the clergy and the aristocracy have all the power, and none of the responsibilities. They're not taxed. So,
but yeah, so we're all highly familiar with the Catholic Church and when going to church, we're soldiers. We probably it's a mandate that we have to go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not my knowledge of church. I'm hoping it's his literal knowledge of the clergy and how they react and act, their ways. It's like asking Aristo, "Hey, how do aristocrats act?"
Right.
We don't know. We're but the common folk. All right, Christoph, lead the way.
Okay. So we enter the front door.
okay. You enter the church and briefly kneel and cross yourself before proceeding to take a seat at the back of the church.
Have services already begun?
There is a service my mind has gone blank, as it often does at this time in the morning.
Is it in Latin?
Process was the word I was looking for. There is a service in process taking place. The priest is a rather gaunt man in his late 40s, graying a little around the temples, rather hard-faced man. As are most of the parishioners, to be honest.
Do all of the parishioners look like they're the working class? Are there any aristos here?
There's a mixture. There's no one who looks like an aristocrat. They're primarily they look like working people, perhaps. One or two look a little more sort of petit bourgeois.
In the front would be the people who had some kind of money because they could buy the pews.
Yes,
yeah, they'd be merchants and stuff like that.
There's an enclosed box over to the right of the chapel, but no one's sitting in it. It's quite ornately carved, but it's not occupied.
That'd be like a confessional?
It's more of a private box. It's the sort of place where aristocrats would sit when they attended church.
Oh, okay. Like box seating. Gotcha.
Yes. On the other side is a similar box that would probably be for the choir.
Well, I point up to the empty VIP section, and I say, well, perhaps this is where Count Fenelick attends.
Well, if he goes to his local church. Yeah, but it doesn't appear that they're here now.
Well, they're probably still in Versailles. We still probably have a little bit of time before he arrives back.
The people here seem regular. This seems we're maybe legitimate.
Then why the fear? Fenelick isn't here. He's still in Versailles attending to the Queen. That's what he literally said. Said it to Babon. So why the fear?
Well, have you ever been under the leadership of a captain who was cruel and demeaning of people, and you and others take on a different tone when serving under him?
I hope you're not speaking of anyone you know.
We're not right. I'm assuming this is pretty hushed right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just kind of
Yeah.
I hope you're not talking of anyone you may have come into contact with in the last 3 seconds.
No, I wouldn't be talking about this if anybody had a shot of hearing it. Yeah.
This is true, but they're acting rather odd and peculiar, as if he has servants are wandering around, which may be why they're hushed. Maybe servants were in the tavern and we just didn't know.
Mick, I've got some experience with the occult, and it's very minor, but I've got some experience with the occult. Is there anything that would suggest there is a hidden pattern here, or a shadow that's been cast upon the service to maybe tweak it in some way, or that people are responding in different fashions, perhaps with hand gestures or anything that might slip through this?
No.
Okay. Yeah, this is.
If anything, his delivery of the service is a little uninspired. His rhetoric a little wooden. He's not the most animated or talented of priests.
But the cross is more animated than him.
But it's just a run-of-the-mill service delivered with very little passion or commitment on behalf of the priest. Very much as though he's just going through the motions.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of signaling this in. I don't think he's really, this isn't exactly a moving event for him, but I don't feel or detect anything nefarious.
Evening confessionals are a thing within the Catholic Church, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what day is it today?
It's
June
Today
4th.
Was it yesterday the 4th and today the 5th?
Today's the 5th. Wednesday, June 4th. This is the Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Thursday, June the 5th.
So there should be someone in the confessional tonight.
There will be after the service. Yes, the priest will take confession after the service.
Perhaps that's
I'm not sure if that's how it actually works.
How many people are in the church? I'm not there, but how many people?
That's a good question.
9 or 10.
I know that he said
10 people.
Yeah, he said sparsely attended. I was imagining somewhere between.
Most likely, he probably has heard all these confessions, and I mean he's heard them over the last couple of weeks. They don't do it every day,
Yeah.
So he's probably not even going to bother with the confessional unless somebody asks him, Father, can I have my confession heard? Yes.
Well, I'm not very familiar with the Catholic Church. I don't know if you can just approach
Sure.
the diocese. Okay.
Also, the service, the Vesper service, other than the Bible reading, it's exactly the same service every single day.
Okay.
So it's very routine.
All right. So then let's wait until after the service, and then we'll approach the priest and ask some questions. Perhaps give a confession if necessary to, kind of ease our way into this community. Gain their
You might
trust.
say, come back tomorrow,
Yeah. Never know. All right. So we're going to wait until after Vespers.
Okay. Yeah, one or two people stay behind afterwards. Let's say 3 people actually. There's a man, 2 men, and a woman who wait afterwards by the confessional booth, and the priest, after shaking a few hands, retires to the confessional and begins taking confessions.
Well, we'll wait towards the end. I'm imagining there's some kind of line. I've never done a confessional in my entire goddamn life.
Thierry, I hesitate to speak anything ill of the church, if only because I have had a good experience with it, and I do feel close to it. But I know that some men of the cloth are influenced by money in the local aristos. I would be cautious with showing your hand.
I'll see, and this is why you will be talking first.
Well, I mean, if you do happen to do a confession.
And this is why, and I step aside. You will be entering first. I will be entering second. You're, and I kind of hesitate to say it. I may be a little biased when it comes to certain things, and you're younger than I am, so perhaps your youth can provide a little bit of an even layer. I do not feel comfortable, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable just prying from the men of the cloth, much like prying from the aristocrats. It's uncouth. But we need to do it. And I think that your pretty face is the perfect little pretty face to do it. There's also a cat with Etienne. And it's a very cute cat. So, Christophe?
I'll take the first opening.
The priest can't see his face. He's behind a screen. That's the whole idea. It's anonymous.
Well, no, but I
don't. Has that always been the case, though?
No,
I thought that was a more modern
no, that's been around
development
for a
within
while.
the church.
That's
Okay.
been around for a while.
Okay. I remember some of the older people. I was raised in a Catholic family, and some of the older folks used to tell me, well, when I was a kid, we didn't have the wall. We had to sit there and face the priest. But that could have just been situational within the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, you wait, and I guess after about 10 minutes, your opportunity arises.
go, Pressy, go. I push him forward.
I go on, and I go in, and do the bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been probably 2 weeks since my last confession. I've been desired of women, and yeah, mostly just of women. And then I have not been completely honorable in all of my actions, and I want to lay that out as my confession.
With again with that characteristic lack of passion, he says, 10 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers, my son.
Father, this is the first time I've traveled to your town, and I did notice I try to be a friendly person, and around here everybody is not as friendly as usual. Now, is there something about my sins that may have put me off to the locals?
Oh, my son, these are not happy times. I think. How?
Ouch. Funny bone?
Oh no, something just clicked back into place. That feels quite good, actually. Wow, that was really loud. I don't know if the microphone picked that up. That was really loud. Sorry, that's really put me off. These are not happy times, my son. Throughout the land, things I think are difficult wherever one goes at the moment.
It just felt like things were different as passing through the woods and coming in here. And I thought perhaps if I do have business in town for a few days, that since you knew the locals here, that you might be able to give a suggestion on how I might be able to have good humors with them.
There is little in the way of good humor to be had in this town, my son. My advice to you would be to concentrate on your business and conclude it as quickly as possible, and then return to your home.
I was considering seeking business with the local aristos. Is that do you know if that is an option in this town?
I know nothing of that.
Nothing of it. Okay. Well, thank you, Father. If there is a devotional or some sort of donation basket there, I'll throw some change in and get out of there.
He performs some manner of blessing. I don't know.
He reads the prayer of confession over him.
Yes, and probably some Te Absolve or something at the end of it. My limited schoolboy knowledge of Latin. I don't know.
I'm back. How was it, Christoph?
I try to nod and speak softly and say he's not saying much, but I don't pick up anything odd from him.
I nod and I say, well, we will see after my confession.
Should I stay within the church?
I smile and pat you on the shoulder and say, go sit in the pews. I'll come grab you.
I sit in the last pew closest to the door.
All right. I enter the booth. I sit down and I say, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 3 weeks since my last confession.
Go ahead, my son.
I have been having very dark thoughts.
What nature have these thoughts of yours been?
I used to be a soldier, and blood was always something that I was accustomed to, but it is something I have grown fond of in my older age, that is. And I have been turning back to those thoughts of fondness for the battlefield. And I know that these are not peaceful thoughts. I wish to quell them, but they will not leave.
And such thoughts, my son, are a test. They are a test of your resolve as a man and your resolve before Christ. You must offer yourself, failings and all, to God and ask for His forgiveness. Only by doing that will you truly find peace.
Is such sadism normal within a person such as I?
I don't think sadism is actually a word yet.
We'll say it is for the benefit of this conversation.
Is he not still in the Bastille at this point? Or he might be dead now.
Yeah.
I don't think sadism gets coined as a word for a good few years.
Yeah. Are such thoughts wicked for a man not like I?
All sin is wicked, my son.
I have only...
What redeems oneself is whether one recants and asks for forgiveness.
I have only come upon such wickedness in another human only once when I was a soldier. Don't look at the chat.
Desaad doesn't die until 1814.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, he's still going. He's still stitching.
He's in Charenton Asylum.
He's in the asylum. Writing and stitching people up in donkey skins and wanking himself silly. Carry on.
God damn it! Don't stop. God damn. All right. Okay.
Footnotes.
Don't say "God damn it" in the confessional, dude.
This is not.
Oh, that's why he needs to confess.
This is why I need to confess.
He's just stacking it on.
Because the Wikipedia page for Father, forgive me for I have sinned, but I looked at the sadism Wikipedia page. And, all right, so I've only come across such wickedness in one other man. When I was a soldier, I went to a town within the east, and there was a man there, older, and he beat a child in the street with a cane until the child bled and could not move. And I kind of sigh and say, but I apologize, Father, for. And I shrug and I say, I do not know why I tell you this.
Well, sometimes these memories become a burden to us, my son.
Are wicked men like the one I described common, Father?
Well, Satan manifests himself everywhere, my son. He is all about us, especially at a time like this, when the land is in such upheaval and chaos.
Nick, is it possible for me to do a psychology roll on him?
Oh, yes, but bear in mind he's on the other side of a screen, so you need a hard or better, I think.
Yeah, I know
what specifically are you trying to ascertain?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to see, because I'm telling him the story, I'm telling him these thoughts. I'm seeing if me describing these things, phenolics, if they draw anything from him to the surface.
Okay, make your roll.
You can't see him, so.
His voice. 14. I have no idea what my psychology is. 15. Oh, All right, so that was not a hard, but I'll spend luck points.
Okay, well, all right. If you want to spend luck points to make that hard,
Yeah, I'll spend
you're going to be spending, what's that going to be? 6 or 7 luck points, I imagine.
8. No, is it hard? I got a 14. I need a 7. I need 7. All right, I'm gonna spend 7.
Okay. He's very much dealing with you with what might be described as a professional air of detachment.
All right. There's nothing here then, and I say, "What is my penance, Father?"
He gives you
50 Hail Marys.
50 Hail Marys, 20 Our Fathers, and a donation in a 4 box.
And I say thank you, and I leave. I don't even accept his blessing.
Testicles, spectacles, testicles, wallet, watch, tails away.
It's a pretty weird thing for the priest to say. Should I be concerned?
Shazam, muzzle top.
Jewish priests?
It's all the same thing. Sorry, friend, I didn't mean to say that. Just, I haven't even seen my family rabbi for 30 years.
Hey,
and I'm still terrified of him.
I say one thing about my grandparents, and everyone's commenting about it, so be prepared. There's going to be an onslaught
There are people listening, yeah.
There's going to be an onslaught of comments being like, don't say that about your aunt.
No, that would be terrifying. Now you've really terrified me, the thought that my old family rabbi is now stalking me via YouTube.
All right, so I leave, and I grab Christoph, and I say, "There's nothing here for us," and we leave. I leave.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm pissed. I wasted 7 luck on that bastard. All right, so we walk out into what I assume is the night at this point, and we head back to the inn.
Okay, the streets are empty. I mean, other than the way you came in, there's only one other road, which is a cobbled road leading off to the north of the town. You take that to be the road that probably goes to Fenlex estate.
Okay. Do we know how far Fenwick's estate is from here?
You know, it's quite near. That's all you were told.
I look from the road to the inn, then to Pressy. I say, why don't we do one little peek?
Sure.
We have nothing better to do. Nothing in this town to do other than drink, sing, and sleep, apparently. What's down this road, I wonder? And I begin walking down that road.
You only have to. Well, I mean, the road curves around a bit, and it's wooded on either side of the road. But it only takes you 6 or 7 minutes to reach what very clearly seems to be the estate. There is a quite large and substantial iron gate, and an equally large and substantial wall that's about 10 feet high, and has spikes on the top of it, which extends into the darkness. On either side and disappears into the night. You can't tell how far it goes, but it's obviously quite a substantial wall, designed very much for the purposes of keeping people out. The gate itself is about 8.5 feet high, with considerably more imposing looking spikes on the top of it. The spike rollers on the top.
So, and woods kind of surround the chateau, yes?
Yes.
Is it kind of safe to assume that the wall stretches the entire length of the estate?
You could assume that, yes.
All right. Through the gate, I'd like to look up at the chateau. How massive is it? How grandiose and scale?
It's quite dark, so it's difficult to make out the details of it. But you can see that it must be several stories high, and it has what look like towers, 2 towers. But it's at this distance, in darkness, it's quite difficult to see any details. There are hints of light on the ground floor.
Is it possible for me to do a spot hidden to see if the carriage is here? Would be
Well, from where you are, you can see a drive, the silhouette of a house, and a couple of what might be small outbuildings, possibly. The only thing you can't even really make out the drive particularly well. It does strike you as quite odd, but the gravel of the drive, from where you can see it on the other side of the gate, it's very dark gravel.
Okay.
It's not the usual kind of gravel you would see.
Okay. Can I bend down, reach through, and pick one up?
Yes, pick up a piece of the gravel.
Okay. And on closer inspection, is it anything other than a rock?
It is. It's a small black piece of rock.
Okay. How deep black?
Well, I mean, it looks black. It's you're in the dark. There's very little light. There's not much moonlight tonight.
Are there any lanterns moving around up there?
There's some light downstairs.
Okay. But not anybody necessarily walking the grounds that we can see carrying a light?
No, there's no lights moving. Okay. But you can see that there's lamp light in several rooms downstairs in the house. What you take to be the ground floor from this distance. You can just make out light and the shapes of windows.
Well, I turn around and I begin walking back down the road, and I say, I think that this was a successful walk. Now we don't have to waste our time tomorrow night figuring out that there's a wall. We'll just have to tell the others that there's a huge wall. And if we can't really see anything from this distance, we're going to have to find a way in.
And perhaps if we walk further along the countryside, not all sides have a 10-foot high wall. Could just be the main side facing the road, since that's easier passage.
Perhaps. Well, at this point, we may as well go back and go to sleep. It's getting late after all. We want to get up early.
Okay, well, you head back to the tavern, where I imagine you will appraise the others of your intelligence about the estate, and so to bed.
Did God forgive your sins?
He forgave my made-up sins.
Now, while they were in the church, did anybody pick up the note that was left on the table? Like, we'll glance every once in a while back over. Not all the time.
No,
Just
no, they were once or twice you caught someone glancing at it, but they were making quite an effort not to even look at it.
All right.
Nothing else unusual? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say nothing. Nobody else comes or goes. Any other unusual or
A few people come and go. They seem to be locals. Towards the end of the evening, 2 or 3 men come in over the course of the last half hour of the evening and bring in large pewter jugs that are filled with beer for them, and then they go off home with their jug. But other than that, there's nothing untoward appears to be going on.
These people are broken. They know their place. They have been pushed down into their place. They will not move from their place.
should we take the note back? It might actually work against us if they are that broken. They might just run directly with it to whomever they report to.
That letter is a challenge, so perhaps yes.
I think we should just pretend like it's not there. Otherwise,
Yes,
it looks
I'm
like
in agreement.
we're trying to do something. I'm sorry, what did you say, Michelle?
No, I say I'm in agreement with you. Just leave it there.
Most likely the bartender will just crumple it up and throw it away. Well, let's go to bed.
To bed. Let's go.
Okay, you head off to your beds, and on that note, I think we'll end it there for this evening.
Perfect. All right. Our players included Thomas McKeon, Wayne Worthy, Fred Carter, Lucas Strom, Jason Melnichuk, and myself with Mick Swan as the Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production. In order to create a richer listener experience, we provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We love hearing from you. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.
Fammi,